so much, folks. Super excited to have you on board. Super excited that you're ending the day with us, here with Tequeria and having a full day at Summit. You've heard so much from so many people, having everything to do from no tech for ice to like tech saludo and tech to I went to a tech taboo tech session. It was great. But now we're closing off the day with some amazingness. We have the incredible Shai Poulard with us, who is the head of DEIB at NerdWallet. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Shai before we start our conversation. But just so you know, Shai's got some time with years of professional experience in various industries, including, y'all ready for this? Technology, retail, banking, biotechnology, and entertainment. She can do it all. She's entrepreneurial, innovative, and has a passion for aligning people's skills, companies' resources, and development opportunities with the needs of an organization. So if you need any of that, Shai is the person you turn to. She has a proven track record in building training and inclusion programs, exceeding goals, strategic thinking, leadership, analytical thinking, facilitation, creative problem solving, customer service, and championing equity and inclusion. I mean, I don't know why else we're talking to anybody else, because clearly you're the woman. But Shai, thank you so much for being with us. How are you today? Is there anything I missed that the people should know?
Listen, can I take you with me everywhere? Because that was everything. Like, I love it. And I am doing well. I was sharing earlier that I've been looking forward to this. So even all the little things that could have gotten me out of my element, I was like, look, I have a session. Like, yes. I'm, be with my people. So all is well.
Listen, do not let anybody disrupt your peace.
Listen. Okay, say it with your whole chest. Yes.
Exactly. Well, listen, we are here to get to know you a bit more. So tell me about your professional journey and how long you've been in tech.
Yeah, great question. So my professional journey is exactly that, a journey. So stay with me. I know we have a short time together, so I'm going to try to keep this as concise as I can. But again, it's been a journey. So I did not start my career in tech. Well, let me share and then we'll decide if I started my career in tech or if I didn't, right? But based on the formal definition of like a tech company, I did not start my career in tech. I actually started my career in what's called biotech, which is nothing like what we know tech to be today. I went to undergrad many moons ago to pursue a biology degree, Bachelor of Science in Biology, graduated with that degree. And interestingly enough, as I reflect kind of back on my journey, I realized that I really only pursued that career because of my parents. I think being of the Latinidad community, we know that there are typically 4 professions that, our parents want us to pursue. And it's doctor, lawyer, maybe engineer, maybe something else in the medical field, and disappointment. So I'm the disappointment, but back then I was on the journey of being the non-disappointment, right? And so I was on a fast track to medical school. And at some point I decided that I did not want to pursue a medical degree. I'm highly empathetic. And through a volunteer opportunity, I realized that if I went down this path, I would either become very desensitized or I would have a stroke by the time I was 30. And I just didn't want to do that. So I said, all right, well, how do I hold on to the degree while still holding on to like my passion of science and helping people? So spent a short, long stint in biotech on the clinical research side. And kind of, I like to speak in themes, right? So the themes that came from those opportunities was I realized I love to be analytical. I love to solve complex problems. I love to, get something and build and make it better. But unfortunately, at that time, biotech was just one of those industries that really didn't want to innovate. It was more like maintain the status quo. And as someone that values innovation and creativity and efficiency, I grew disengaged, moved to the business side of biotech thinking maybe that was the thing because I love people. So maybe with interacting with clients, I would find that energy, and it just didn't happen for me. So did some soul searching and realized that in every role up until that point, I had just naturally been that person to champion a learning initiative, a DEI initiative before DEI was even, coined, DEI. And so I said, I have something here. Let me actually go back to school. Didn't know what I was going back to school for. I just said, let me go back to school. MBA sounds cool. It's broad enough that I'll hopefully figure it out in 2 years. And so left the working world full time, went back to school. And that was my first exposure to tech. I had the great fortune of meeting this incredible woman who had just transitioned into tech, similar to kind of what I was looking to do was transition. And based on what I had done in the past and what I wanted to do and kind of the unique skill sets that I brought to the table of not coming from the HR space or even the tech space, she was like, why don't you come and be my number two and support me in building out this engagement function? So I joined this small media and tech company, and I supported her in rolling out manager development programs, individual contributor development programs. And that was my aha moment of I'm never going back to a non-tech company, because that chaos, moving fast paced, thriving in ambiguity, and really being able to build and have, wide impact really spoke to me and really played to my skills. And then of course, being able to develop the people, support the people, include the people and all the things, definitely aligned with where I wanted to take my career. And so that's what brought me to tech. And I think what's kept me in tech is always at that intersection of disruption and innovation. And as a person, so am I. And so being able to do diversity and inclusion, which is already disruptive in itself, for tech companies that, again, and I've had the great fortune of working for tech companies that are innovating new things, right? I worked for a micromobility company, I worked for a media and tech company when social media influencing was first becoming a thing. And now here at NerdWallet, where, financial empowerment in this capacity, hasn't really existed before. It's just been really rewarding. So when people say, like, do you see yourself in tech for the long haul? I'm like, yeah. And then eventually I'll go teach like the history of hip hop or the history of bachata and call it a life,
Listen, I mean, now is the time. Hip hop is 50. I see it happening. I can manifest it. There we go.
Please. Yes, adjunct professor of hip hop. I'm here for it.
Listen, yes, study why Lil' Kim Hardcore was the greatest rap album of all time. Who knows? Anyway,
I love it. I love it. Okay, New York.
But anyway, what I love hearing about, the journey that you've been going through is that you found that there were things that like weren't working for you in some spaces, but then when you moved into places that you didn't expect yourself in, you actually thrived because of the very things that like were perhaps not working previously.
Right.
I'd love to know, what are some of the key things that you feel could have been perceived as weaknesses in other spaces that you think really became strength for you as you move forward in your career?
Such a great question. And it's something that I'm really passionate about, because a lot of the times what we bring to the table through our uniqueness and what sets us apart are societal, things that society frowns upon, right? So for me, especially being in tech, where I've had to be scrappy, I've had to make $1 out of 15 cents. I've had limited budgets to service employee resource groups, a lot of them, and make sure that they feel supported. And again, our output is of the highest quality. For me, it was like growing up broke. Right. And I love telling the story of grocery store shopping day. So growing up as a kid, when it was grocery day, it was a field trip. We would wake up, get dressed. My mom would literally lay out and I'm dating myself. My mom would lay out all the sales ads. Right. There were no apps. And she would circle, chicken is on sale here. Toilet paper is on sale here. Fruit is on sale here. And we would go to sometimes 4 or 5 different grocery stores. I thought that was everybody's journey. Right. So it wasn't until I was an adult where I think I might've been sharing. I used to love grocery store day because remember, I don't know if you all remember the little caramel. If you remember the caramel candies, they used to come in the bins. Like we would get a handful of them every grocery store we went to. So it was fun. And when, a colleague, a classmate of mine shared like, oh no, we just went to one grocery store. I was just like, what a concept, one grocery store. But realized, right, my mom had a limited budget. She had to feed a family, right? And not feeding us quality food, it wasn't an option for her. And so that's something that society could easily frown upon, right? Like when you're broke or you grew up broke or whatever the case. But for me, it's built the superpower of really being able to truly be scrappy and make $1 out of 15 cents. And so I love to share that story, and I want to impart with everyone joining in today. Right now in this talent landscape. The reality is companies are deprioritizing, some companies are reprioritizing, reorging. And so if you find yourself at this space where you're like, I don't know what's next, I don't know if my growth trajectory is here, I don't necessarily know how to navigate my career, and you're in this competitive tech talent pool, dig deep into like, what are some of the unique things about yourself that maybe society frowned upon, or maybe you frowned upon, that's actually built you into the person that you are, that's actually differentiated you, right? And for me, being able to make $1 out of 15 cents has paid dividends in tech, where they're like, we're slashing your budget. I'm like, don't worry. So I used to get the croissants at the bougie bakery. Now we're getting the croissants at Costco, right? So it's like, and being able to, adapt and flow. And a lot of the times that uniqueness that, again, you may think is not embraced, is really your differentiator, and it's the game changer that sets you apart from the rest. So
I love that so much. And I think that it's important for it to like be affirmed to folks that coming in with all your experiences and all your authentic self, that's actually going to help really allow you to pursue growth in your career. Because for your grocery store days, for being able to see how your mom navigated financing, you are now able to do that in your day to day on a way that other people may not even experience.
1000%.
I would love to know, because, a lot of the work that you do, especially with DEIB work and supporting organizations and companies to learn how to be more radically inclusive. I'd love to know, what are the things that companies need to do to be more inclusive of Black and Brown communities, so that they can thrive in the spaces versus like trying to their best to assimilate in?
Such a good question. And yes, this is what I think about every day. And it's what keeps me up at night, right? As a DIB professional. I'm going to answer that question in kind of three ways, right? The first thing that companies need to do to continue to provide support to Black and Brown communities, both internally and externally, is to listen, right? That's key. If it's not your lived experience, if you're not a part of that community, you are not supposed to understand, right? You are not supposed to be able to feel it in the way that we feel it, right? And it's supposed to be foreign to you because it's not your lived experience. And so I always encourage leaders, managers, and colleagues alike to step into that allyship, right? And allyship is not an identity, right? It is a verb. It is your actions. And that first action that you need to take as somebody that wants to be an ally and really support both of these communities and the intersection of both of these communities is by listening and understanding what's missing, how can we be better, and truly receive it. Yesterday, I was talking to a former colleague of mine, and we have another colleague that's struggling a little bit as a DIB professional. And she posted a really powerful post around why there should be a zero tolerance policy on microaggressions because of the impact that it has on people. And when I tell you the number of defensive comments I saw under this post, I was like, you all are proving her point, right? And so complete miss of really leaning in and listening and understand where are the gaps and how do we fill the gaps. The second thing that companies really need to lean in and do is take on ownership. What I have seen in my experiences, and I'm fortunate to work at NerdWallet, where we're really about it. We put our money where our mouth is, and we really make sure that all pieces fit together. But what I've seen is that sometimes companies will create these initiatives for Black and Brown employees, and I'm using employees as the example, but then put all the ownership on the employees to problem solve and figure out how they can create a sense of belonging for themselves, when in reality, it's a collective effort, right? We all should be championing and owning diversity, equity, and inclusion, because one side doesn't fit without the other, right? So it's like really fostering that sense of ownership and leaning in and understanding, what role do I play in this, right? And how can I continue to further and foster an inclusive environment? And then I'll say the third piece is, and I know this sounds cliche, but I don't think we can emphasize this enough, is it's more than just giving someone a seat at the table, it's giving them a voice at the table, right? And so many times we see these amazing initiatives to diversify, right? And all the partnerships and all the job boards, but it's more than just getting the bodies in the room. It's about what do you do with those bodies and how you're empowering them to speak up. And so something that I love to train on is feedback fortitude, right? And being crystal clear as an organization that we want feedback, we want to understand what we're doing well, how we can do it better, and we want to co-create action together, right? And so I love to compare it to finance. Every company has a finance department, right? And yes, the finance department might drive the financial health of a company, but it really takes everyone to be a steward of the financial health of a company. And no leader will argue that finance isn't critical to a business, right? DEIB and supporting marginalized communities need to be regarded in that same vein, right? It's non-negotiable. It is what we do because we are all human and we all deserve the same baseline of respect, visibility, and to feel empowered in the same way. So
I love that. I haven't heard of that before, of like connecting it to the same level as like how you think of finance, because everyone understands the impact that if you're not doing well in finance, your company's just not going to do well.
right.
And that same could be said for DEIB, and ensuring that there's like intentional inclusion, because it's not just on paper. It's like to have that voice at the table, as you said. Now,
100%.
look, Shai, I could be talking to you for hours because you're a dope person, and also you're a person of taste. Um,
You too,
so
girl.
because trust me, I saw that you do like competitive karaoke in your bio. I was like, okay, I need to know a little more about that. But I want to close out with a little bit of a fun question. Tell me, as I said, you're a person of taste. Tell me what we should be binging. Tell the community what we need to be doing,
What
what we
you,
need
what
to
you
be
need to be
watching.
watching. Okay, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you some insight into like the three, my three, right? So
Okay.
I would say going back to the past,
Mhm.
I recommend binging A Different World. It was a show, and I already I knew you would know it, right? But for those of you that are tuning in that don't know, it's an incredible show. It's set in like the late 80s, early 90s, and it just follows these rich students of color navigating HBCU, and they talk about everything from race relations to just navigating, figuring out what to do with your life, to love. And even though it last aired, I believe in 93, 94, it's still so relevant and timely today. And so it's one of my comfort go-to. So that's one. Second one is, of course, I got to have a little bit of my reality TV in here. So Love is Blind, the new season just came out, and I'm like, when's the
We need
next
to talk about
episode?
Uche at some point, but go ahead.
And then the third one is All American. I love it. I'm from South Central Los Angeles. It's based in South Central Los Angeles. And again, same themes of just as young adults, how do you navigate this chaotic world while just
Yes.
existing in your authenticity? So those are my top three.
Amazing picks. I've seen the All American that they're in college. I think that's what it's called, or something like that.
All American Homecoming. Yes.
Homecoming. Yes. I was like, I can't remember what the last part is. I've watched that one.
I love it.
But thank you so much. Like, Shai, like you've dropped so many gems talking about intentional inclusivity, talking about, your journey, talking about like being your authentic self and making sure that the lessons that you learned in terms of how you grew up, your community, your background, how that impacts you as a person today. And I think that that's something that's important for all of us to consider as we are navigating our own career. What lessons can we learn from, our upbringing, the way that, our familia, like, navigates, and how that can help us in our own careers. But if folks want to continue keeping in touch with Shai, you can find her on LinkedIn. Yeah. And if you have any questions for her, shoot them there. Sorry, Shai, I just sent a bunch of people your way.
That's okay. I love it. And I welcome it. So yes, I'm happy to support anyone in their journey.
Love
Or if you
it.
want to talk about Love is Blind, I'm down for that too. But no, in all honesty, please do not hesitate to connect with me on LinkedIn, and happy to support this community in any way that I can.
100%. We so appreciate your time and energy. And yes, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings on Love is Blind, but that's besides the point.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate this space and this platform. So I love to give my flowers in real time. Would love to give my flowers to the Tequeria community for what you all are doing for, Black and brown communities and really navigating this space. So, it's an honor to be here with you all today.